Welcome to another episode of the All Tens Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West. With me, as always, Clay Harris. And today, Clay and I are going to try something a little new. Lessons from the sessions. And today, I figured we'd do a little January recap. Clay, how was January as an implementer?
Just a quick recap for me on January. I had sessions with 7 clients in January. A couple annuals, which is, since most of our listeners are EOS aware, that's a 2-day thing where we get together with our clients over 2 days. So it was fun, man. A little bit all over the place. I did a little bit of traveling, 7 different clients. So you get to see, they run the gamut, you know. So the 2 annuals that I had in January, best years ever. So that's always fun. And also 3 of the sessions I had in January were people who were like kind of starting on their EOS journey. So like, man, got to see a little bit of everything. How about you? How's your January?
It was good. Also, as most implementers know, you know, you're in annual season. A lot of people want to do that annual planning December, January. I took a little trip out of town with one of my clients for their annual, and we got a lot done, not only working on the business and certainly, you know, what's happening in sales, marketing, etc., but also working on that team health element and a lot of emotion in the room, Clay. It was some heavy days. Tissue box was ever present.
Do you want to share any more details with our listeners? That sounds interesting.
I think that the team came to play, and that's why it really worked out. So, you know, we always encourage our teams to be open and honest in the room. That's how we do our best work. But open and honest is not always the best news, frankly. And, you know, this team found out that they all had some real trust issues with each other, and certainly questioning some decisions that had been made. And, you know, some tough love was getting doled out.
So that came up. So if for our listeners, on the first day of an annual session, especially in the morning, we're doing a lot of stuff on team health, right? And so you're asking, it kind of ramps up throughout the morning, right? At the beginning, it's kind of like a little bit of pats on the back, but then we start like asking people to go a little bit deeper, like say the things that maybe they haven't been comfortable saying before. So did all that come out like during the team health part?
Oh, absolutely. That it came out, you know, and as you know, Clay, I mean, as implementers, we're managing the room and watching the clock. I mean, we do have objectives and an agenda to get to, but also when something like that happens, I don't watch that clock so much anymore. You know, you got to let the line out. And so when the team is finally saying some things that need to be said and that have gone unsaid, I'm there to let that go. And let it all come out the way that it needs to. And, you know, like any good pilot, we'll make up some time in the air later.
I love that. So cut to the chase, or do the spoiler for our listeners. Like, that can be hard. I can imagine. I've been in those sessions where you got to hit timeout because like maybe one or a couple people need a break to go cry it out or go punch a wall or whatever it is, because man, like, we're just human. And when we're working on hard things, they're hard. And my experience has been, and I wonder, I'll share my experience maybe. So did it come together for the team? Did they leave after the second day kind of more in sync? Like, did you get to the destination you wanted to get to?
Yes, we got there, but it took all of day one. My understanding that dinner that night, they did not discuss business at all, which normally does not happen. Our teams usually have a lot to talk about, and there has been a lot that's been stirred up, and a lot of the conversation that would happen at that team dinner between day 1 and day 2 is a lot of the ideas and a lot of things that surfaced. Now, I did not have dinner with the team, but my understanding the next morning was that they all avoided it. And we had to kind of pick it up on day 2 at, all right, we've still got some work to do before we can actually get a plan together and feel good about moving forward. And so it really took us a day and a half I would say, to get there. And then finally, everybody was settled. Everything that needed to get said had been said. And, we got through it, hugged it out, and then we could move forward with the plan.
It's crazy, right? When you think about how many leadership teams or people who are running companies will just let that sit kind of unaddressed for so long, and it festers, right? Unavoidably festers. Like whatever that little thing is, it might be a splinter now, but it's going to turn into an infection later. And it's just healthier to get it done. It's really uncomfortable during the day, but I guarantee you, I don't even know the people that you're talking about here, but I guarantee you that they're better off today than they were whenever that session was. Not because of a profit and loss outcome, not because of a service time, not something in the business, but just like they're just better off as humans right now because they were able to get through that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That stuff is not on the income statement.
Yeah.
It's not there. And also, that is also one of the benefits of having a coach and a guide in the room, is so that they can help facilitate that for the team.
Yeah.
I tell people, hey, if you're scared to say it, great, then say it scared. Sometimes
Right.
it's hard to be very open and honest with the person who owns the company or might control your paycheck or employment. But so long as you have someone like us in the room to assist and help facilitate that, and know that also we're going to work to get you to resolution, then it's okay to do that. And it may be uncomfortable in the moment, but that short-term discomfort or awkwardness or pain is well worth the benefits thereafter.
Yeah.
And, it would be difficult to not have someone like us in the room and try to facilitate that while simultaneously participating in it.
I won't even say it's difficult. It's like kind of impossible.
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah, but our listeners are like, holy shit, this annual session sounds horrible. Just kidding.
It's not. I promise it's awesome.
Well, I'm gonna give you my two annuals that happened in January were both of them were companies who've been running on the US for a minute. So like give you like another kind of angle of approach here. The first one is a bank in South Georgia. Shout out for Firstport City Bank. And their leadership team has been running on EOS for forever, 7 or 8 years. So like they've done this before in terms of team health. They're way up there, right? Like they've done these exercises a lot. And this time, after you've done the annual session once, as an implementer, I'm always kind of trying to introduce a new way to improve team health, because like the things that we did last year, like we probably just can't do the same thing, because it feel a little like a retread. So this year, the first time we did Working Genius together, and that was like it's like one of those assessment tools, like, right, like kind of when we're in the annual, we talk about there's two things we're trying to open up as leadership team members. One is the things that you know about yourself that no one else knows about you. Those are, not bad secrets, but they're just things that as you like share more of yourselves with other people, it's easier to get to know one another, trust one another, those sorts of things. And then the other side of that coin is the things that people know about you, but you may not recognize, your blind spots, right? And so Working Genius is a way to have a little bit of help kind of uncovering kind of both of those things, kind of build a little bit of self-awareness about things that you kind of knew about yourself, and now you can put a name on it. Or like when you're like, I didn't even know that was a part of my personality. People were like, oh, we knew that was a part of your person, right? And so it's just a different way for people to connect over insights they find about themselves and their peers. And that was the team like really loved Working Genius. So that was super, super fun discussion to lead. So that was a team health exercise that had like no drama, but I think kind of equally productive outcomes, right? Like they left there with like this new language about themselves and about each other that they could use to help them get through issues faster as they continue to go out there and be consistently voted the top bank in Georgia and Florida. So like, I mean, they're just out there rocking. My other team been on EOS for a few years, and this was the time where their 3-year picture was up for like kind of restating, right? And so that was fun. And they also took the opportunity to redo their 10-year target, their core target. And they shifted it from a financial based core target, wanted to be a couple $1,000,000 or whatever it was, and turn that into how many lives they were going to affect through the work that they do. Right. Yeah. And so like the VTO, is one of the things we do in the second half of day one, right? We kind of, throughout the year when you're implementing EOS, you at the beginning, you're creating the VTO. It feels really awesome. And then a year later, it's time for an annual. And we've talked about it in every quarter since you created it. But the annual is the time where like, this is the time to like really make the change. We've talked a lot about, man, I wish that was a little bit different, or we could tweak that. Maybe sometimes we make little tweaks here or there. But in the annual session, you have a lot of space to make whatever changes you want. So it was super fun to see the team kind of get reinvigorated around all those things that they wanted to tweak throughout the year. We finally took the time to do it. And that was like tissues for a different reason, because I was like, oh, that kind of hits you like where it counts, right? As opposed to like, it wasn't drama or conflict. It was like, holy shit, this business that we're running is meaningful, not just in our bank account. It is meaningful for its impact in the world. And so that's one of those sessions where you leave and you're like, man, I'm really lucky to be able to do this job and be in the room with people when they're kind of making these realizations. Anyway, so
100%.
Yeah. Highlights from January. One of the things that we were talking about before we started recording this was the Goldilocks idea of EOS. So let's like bring it home on this episode by sharing some nuggets around the two, whatever you mean by Goldilocks.
So for me, as we were talking through that, Clay, Goldilocks is your team's implementation of the tools and disciplines. And, at one end of that spectrum, if you will, is the team that's not staying completely faithful to it, not always doing their homework in between the sessions, faithfully running their level 10s every week. When you first start working with them, completing the rest of that accountability chart, getting all of that role clarity in place. And so really, truly not necessarily taking full advantage there and getting off to the best start. On the other end of that spectrum, I find occasionally I'll have a client that's really tied into the purity of EOS to the extent that they're almost overly concerned about the implementation, even running the business taking second place. Asking me questions like, Josh, are we doing it correctly? And my answer to that is always, I'm not going to give any awards out. You don't win EOS. There's no final boss here. The tools and disciplines are there as a means to allow you and empower you, indeed, to be a healthy, cohesive, functional, high-performing team that accomplishes their goals. So that's the Goldilocks of it, where we're not so concerned with purity for purity's sake, but also not leaving some things yet to be done.
Yeah, I think two things come up for me as we're talking about this, because I have clients on that same spectrum where it's like, we're so special. Like, I understand EOS, but like, we can't, or the clients who are like, hey, Clay, what's the answer on X? And it takes me, when it comes to EOS, and they're both good. I love all of my clients first, but second, I kind of go back to one of the things that we say, way back on Focus Day, when we talk about our role as EOS implementers in the room is to teach, facilitate, and coach. So my job is to teach EOS purely. Like, I've been using this analogy lately. Is like, I'm like a preacher reading from the Bible. Like, like you probably aren't going to go out and do exactly what the Bible says, but you understand where it came from. You know what I'm saying? Like traction is the canonical text of like, what are we basing all this off of? So I'm going to teach you that. Then we're going to teach, facilitate, and coach. Then we facilitate, like, how do we apply that best in your business? The question isn't how do we apply that without any changes at all in your business? How do we apply that best in your business?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so then we're coaching, like, hey, like you're about to run into a wall. Like I've seen this before. Like, so like there's no sign, there is no binary you're doing it right or wrong. It's here's what the idea is. Go run a great business. And that also reminds me of, remember in that transition from vision building day 2 into your first quarter, we finished the VTO and we talk about the focus day tools, or something that we spend a lot of time in the first 3 sessions on. And those focus day tools are hitting the ceiling, accountability chart, rocks, meeting pulse, and scorecard. And then at the end of vision building day 2, we erase hitting the ceiling and we replace it with the VTO that we just completed. And those are the foundational tools of EOS. VTO, accountability chart, rocks, meeting pulse, scorecard. And the pursuit that we talk about throughout the implementation of EOS is the mastery of those tools. And the mastery of those tools is very simply defined as, do you understand what they are? And are you practicing using them every day? That's what mastery means. There isn't a right or wrong way. It means you understand what it can be, and you're working on it every day. And the purpose of that, the trick that I always kind of say is like, we're doing mastery on accountability chart, rocks, meeting pulse, and scorecard in order to make the VTO come true. We're not doing them in order to be good at them. We're doing them in order for the VTO to become true, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
No
and
awards
so,
are being given out here.
And we're not, and I also say this all the time, we're not here to be a business that runs EOS well. We're here to run EOS for a business that performs well.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
the pursuit is the business, not EOS.
Yes.
And you love EOS. EOS is cool, but like, it's not the point, bro.
Yeah.
That's what my 13-year-old would say. Yeah. Anyway, so just right is whatever's right for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take them home, Clay.
Well, everybody, that was a January recap, our first installment of Lessons from the Sessions. Josh and I coming at you with our January highlights and lowlights and lessons learned. We're so happy that you were able to join us, and we hope that you share, like, listen, comment, whatever it is that you do with podcasts. Rate, I think rating is a thing.
Subscribe.
I'm always missing the important one. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. I think we're everywhere. And we're really glad that you listened. So, good job, Joshy. Thanks a lot. See everybody next time.
Bye, Clay.